This video is focused on Fuel Up to Place 60 funding that is available and how to submit a stellar application to receive funds for the 2017-2018 school year. I am Brianna Banka, a school wellness specialist at United Dairy Industry of Michigan. My main role is to support schools and their implementation of the program here in the state of Michigan, and I'm available to help you review your grant ideas and applications prior to submitting them on the Fuel Up to Place 60 website. Another great resource is the Fuel Up to Place 60 help desk that can help you with any issues you have regarding the grant application process. Here's an agenda for what we will be discussing on this webinar. First, we will introduce the funding amounts that your school is eligible to apply for and the deadlines for the 2017-18 school year. We will go into where to find the application on the Fuel Up to Place 60 website. I will introduce the new playbook for this coming school year and which plays you can apply for funds for through your grant application. And we'll finish up the call with going into specific details on certain questions that are asked on your grant application that you should really take a look at and focus in on your efforts. Fuel Up to Play 60 offers 2 rounds of grants each school year to help improve the healthy eating and physical activity opportunities in your schools. The first round just opened recently and is due Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. These grant dollars will be released at the start of next school year in September 2017. The second round of grants will open in the fall and is scheduled to be due November 1st, 2017. These grant dollars won't be released until January 2018. Each school building has the opportunity to apply for up to $4,000 per school year. You do not need to request the maximum amount of $4,000. I encourage you to start small, especially if you are a new school to Fuel Up to Play 60, and build on your ideas year after year. You can also implement free Fuel Up to Play 60 plays with your students, and the website has some great ideas to get started. If your application is deferred in the first round in June, you are able to reapply in November. If you receive partial funding in June, you are able to reapply in November for the remaining amount, as long as the total amount for 2017-18 does not exceed that $4,000 limit. Fuel Up to Play 60 funds are to help implement 1 healthy eating play and 1 physical activity play. Your application must include a healthy eating plan. However, you're not required to request funding for your physical activity plan. The amount of funding requested to support physical activity cannot exceed the amount of funding requested for the healthy eating play. For example, if you wish to start a breakfast in the classroom play and you only need $1,500 to accomplish this play, you then are only allowed to request up to $1,500 for your physical activity initiatives. Now, if you'd like to purchase a Vitamix blender for your food service and you want to serve smoothies during school meals, and you add up the cost of a blender, paper supplies, and taste test supplies for the events, and they're equal to $4,000, your maximum amount, you can request that full amount to support your healthy eating play. This works well for schools that are implementing physical activity plays that do not require funding. The Fuel Up to Play 60 grant application is an online application that requires you to submit it electronically for each of your schools. You can locate the funding application in 2 spots at fueluptoplay60.com. The first spot is going to be in the header entitled Funding, and you select General Information from the drop-down list. Also on this page, not only is the application, but a lot of great resources that can help you with your grant application. On this page, you can see which schools have received funds in the past. It's searchable by state, and the list is organized by school district. You can also find printable information sheets that can be extremely helpful during your school team meetings and as you collaborate to find where you want to put your efforts towards. The sample application. I highly recommend taking a look at this document to determine what questions the online application will ask you. You will need specific details about your school, such as enrollment information. This also includes your school's federal employer ID number, where your funding check should be mailed to, your free and reduced school meal numbers, and average daily participation of school breakfast and lunch. You will also need to indicate that you have support and approval from key adult stakeholders at your school on the grant application. This includes the principal, school nutrition staff, and PE staff. The eligibility and guidelines document needs to be read before you start the application as well. It's an important document to note what your school must comply with if your application is approved. There are also funding limits to take note in on specific budget categories that we will discuss later on this webinar. The school wellness investigation is also a very helpful tool for you and your school with grant dollars. This tool is designed to help you and your students identify areas of weakness in your school, set goals to improve those weaknesses, and then measure your school's success. Students can get involved by investigating the answers to these questions and collect data about the current wellness environment in their school and just work to identify opportunities for improvements. Those areas of improvement is where you can focus your funding request for Fuel Up to Play 60. It can help start conversations too with students who really haven't thought about their school nutrition and physical activity environment at their school before. The second location on the website to find information about funding is located on your school dashboard. To access the school's dashboard and in order to begin the online application for a grant, you must first join the league, which is circled in red at the top right corner of the home page. Joining the league will prompt you to create a personal account on the website. You will be required to enter in your first school's zip code that will generate a list of all schools with that zip code in our system. You can only connect to one school at this point of creating your account, but after your account is created, you will have the opportunity to link up to as many schools as you'd like. If the school you are trying to connect to is not listed when you type in the correct zip code, please contact the Fuel Up to Play 60 help desk to get your school added to our system. You can find their contact information from this webinar at the beginning of the call, or you can scroll down to the bottom of the website, and in the footer section, there is a Contact Us tab, and you can submit an electronic request to reach the Fuel Up to Play 60 help desk. Be sure to check the bright orange box to the right so you're linked up to your school as a program advisor. Being a program advisor will allow you to check off steps on your school dashboard and submit a funding application for your school. After you created your account on the website, you will be subscribed to all communication regarding Fuel Up to Play 60, both from the national program, and it will also enroll you into our Michigan Fuel Up to Play 60 newsletters that include important information of what we have available locally in our state. Here's a sample school dashboard that I am currently connected to. When you're logged into your account, this is the first thing you will see. If you are a program advisor at your school, you will see that at the top of the page. So for the Michigan Test School, you can see I am a program advisor at this school. There's not a limit to the number of schools you can be a program advisor at, so I recommend when you connect to all of your schools, you list yourself as a program advisor. To connect to more schools, you can select the Manage Schools/Districts tab. On this page, you can search your additional schools by their zip code. Same as before, if you do not see your school listed when you type in the correct zip code, please reach out to the help desk, and then they can get your school added to the system. Also, if your school needs any updates, such as school names, school closings, different grade levels, you can relay that to the help desk as well. I know a lot of changes have happened recently with schools merging and closing, and we try to keep our system as up to date as possible. You can connect to an entire school district. Districts will be designated with an asterisk, but grant applications and checking off steps of the program need to be done by an individual school basis. You can see from the list of schools I am currently connected to which ones I'm a program advisor at. Simply check the box under Program Advisor on all of your schools and hit Submit. That way, you'll be a program advisor at all of your schools. Each school does not have a limit to the number of program advisors that can be connected to that school, so I encourage you to have all of your key adult stakeholders be program advisors too. In fact, the more adult supporters that you have as a program advisor, the more successful your Fuel Up to Play 60 program will be. However, when it comes to completing a grant application, only one person is allowed to submit or edit a school's grant application for that year. So before you begin, be sure that you have all your key stakeholders on board before proceeding. Before you start the application, review the online 2017-2018 playbook for the next school year. You'll want to make sure key stakeholders at your school are on board. The PE and nutrition staff should work together in selecting the plays and developing this application. You are required to have support and approval on this application from your school principal. I also recommend involving your student leaders to see what changes they would like to see in their school environments surrounding healthy eating and physical activity. Student leaders are the most valuable yet underutilized component of Fuel Up to Play 60. Here are the plays that funding is available to help implement next school year that are now available on the website, the newly released 2017-18 playbook. There are 6 healthy eating plays to choose from. One of the examples is the Breakfast for Everyone First Meal Matters play. If you're interested in serving an alternative breakfast option or boosting participation in school breakfast, this is the play to choose. It focuses on working with school nutrition professionals and involving students in the selection of foods and delivery methods. Another example of the healthy eating plays is the It's All About Your Choices, Go Nutritious play. This gets students excited about school meals and snacks. Think about treating your school cafeteria like a hip new restaurant or cafe and get students excited to eat there by giving it a makeover. The goal is to give students access to more nutritious food options and to encourage them to make nutritious choices. So this play was developed with the Cornell Center for Child Nutrition's Smarter Lunchrooms program. A new healthy eating play to this school year is the Food, Waste Less, and Enjoy It. It's good for all of us play. Helping to nourish food insecure neighbors is just one reason to implement this food waste reduction play. Learning how to waste less and what can be done with wasted food is an opportunity to promote health and well-being and better appreciate our food on the plate. There are also 5 physical activity plays to choose from. If your school needs dollars to start a walking and running club to get students, teachers, administrators, and the community to make walking part of their day every day, the Walk This Way Starting Walking Club play is for you. If you'd like to focus on getting students active throughout the day and in the classroom, select the in-class physical activity breaks, good for brain and body play, to encourage your principal and teachers to get on board to show that getting up and moving during class can be done without disrupting class time. Once you've determined your plays and you're ready to begin the online application, you can locate this directly on your school's dashboard. Next, we will go into further details that the application will ask you. For your healthy eating play, after you've identified the play that you wish to apply for funding, you must provide a clear and detailed description of how that play will be implemented from start to finish. And the same goes for physical activity. One of the questions it will ask you is, how will funding be used to help accomplish your healthy eating play? Include a description of the items, equipment, and service you plan to purchase. These items should match those listed in your budget. This is really the only question that asks for specifics regarding your play. Please note there is not a word limit to the answer of this question. Be as descriptive as possible with your response. Include how your students will be leading and involved with every aspect of your play and with the items you're requesting funds for. How will the items you will be purchasing impact the whole student body and school environment? Write that response here. Do not just list all the items you plan on purchasing. That is what the project budget section is for, which we will go over shortly. Describe how these items will help you to carry out the actual plan to improve the healthy eating habits of your students. For example, if you want to start implementing breakfast in the classroom, be sure to write how your students will be leading this initiative and how key adult stakeholders will be included, such as the food service director and principal support. The review board is looking for a full illustration of your play from start, so we know exactly how your funding dollars would be spent and the expected success of your play. We can't assume that student leaders would be involved with any of the initiatives unless it's written out in the application. Another key question is, how will your healthy eating plan encourage students to consume more low-fat, non-fat dairy, fruits and vegetables, and whole grains? There's a reason why there are 3 different sections for these different food groups that you are required to answer for. You need to write out ways you're promoting all of the food groups, not just one in particular. Get creative with your students here. Think of fun, different ways to promote each of the food groups within your healthy eating play. Another question is, explain how your school will continue with your healthy eating play after funding is exhausted. We want to ensure your funding requests are highly sustainable and the plays can continue after funding is gone. After you spent your funding dollars, let us know how you plan to keep the play alive. Some answers are more direct than others. Going back to our breakfast in the classroom play, if you request cooler bags, that will continue to be supported as the equipment is already purchased. So that is your sustainability piece of this play. The same core questions will be asked for your physical activity play with the exception of promoting the food groups. Be sure to provide a lot of details of how your play will be implemented, students will lead, and how the play will continue once funding is gone. You do have the option to not apply for physical activity funds and only request dollars to go towards your healthy eating play. The next major section of the application is the project budget. This is where you will list out each of your categories and description of your items with the amount that these are worth for the items you are requesting. It is split into 2 different budgets, one for healthy eating and one for physical activity. The first point I want to make is for you to do your research. Reach out to actual vendors for current invoices of products you are requesting. Prices do tend to change all the time, so check, double check, and triple check prices before you submit your application so that your budgeted amount will cover all associated costs of the items you are requesting, including shipping fees. You do not need to request the full $4,000 that your school is eligible for. If your school can accomplish their plays under this maximum amount, it's encouraged. We do also have several plays that do not require funding. FUTP60 can be just as successful at your school with limited or no funds. Approved student applications will receive their funds in September, so keep that in mind when requesting prices. Review. That's the next tip I would like to give you all. Make sure all the items you list in this project budget are discussed in your written plan of the plays. If you add an item into the budget that is not discussed how it is incorporated into the actual play, it is likely not to be funded. You do also have the ability to request funds for a stipend. If you do request funds for a staff stipend, they will ask you to provide a description for why you are asking for this stipend amount. It's also important to note what other support your school is receiving to help accomplish your play. Nothing is too big or too small to include in this question. This can be PTO funds that are donated time from the local community support, etc. Here is a sample budget that was requested by one of our schools that was approved. They selected the play Highlight Healthful Foods Everywhere in School, and this is what their budget looked like. They are very descriptive in the item that they were requesting, and they were only requesting funds for their healthy eating play. Their written plan was then discussed with student leaders, and what their plan had entailed was to create a hashtag campaign to encourage milk consumption at lunch. Their current milk coolers did not display milk in a pretty way, and they were pretty difficult to open when students were carrying their lunch trays. The open-air merchandiser that they were requesting was much more visually appealing for students, giving the cafeteria an updated look and easing access to this nutrient-rich product. Although the school was not requesting funds to support the other food groups, they still included in their written plan how they would encourage fruits and vegetables and whole grains without the need of funding to do so. Keep in mind the school year limits that include both healthy eating and physical activity items, such as your kickoff and promotion category. The total limit for both of these is $500, even though the funding category will be listed in both sections. The total cannot exceed $500. Other categories that cannot exceed a total for both plays are nutrition education materials at $200 and staff stipends at $300 for internal staff and $400 for all, including outside professionals. There's also a limit on the taste test events that you are requesting funds for at 60 cents per student. Consider looking at your enrollment to see what you can request for taste test events. You don't need to request the full $4,000 for funding, especially if you're a new school to Fuel Up to Play 60. Start small with your ideas, and you can build on them year after year. United Dairy Industry of Michigan has school wellness specialists on staff available to help you with your grant applications, also to answer any questions you have as you begin this process. Please feel free to reach out before the grant deadline comes up so we can help you out. Also, the Fuel Up to Play 60 help desk is available as a resource as well. Thank you for taking the time and listening to this webinar, and please let us know if there's any way we can help support your efforts.